Welcome to the 105th episode of the MC Knitting Adventures podcast. My name's Colleen.
And my name is May. Welcome, returning viewers, and for those of you watching us for the first time, we're so glad you could join us. Now, on today's podcast, we did not go on an adventure, but I do urge you to go on our last adventure. It was Muirkirk, and it was called the
T&K Fiber Studio.
And more.
And more.
And more. And it was well worth. We're still kind of relishing in those moments.
Exactly.
So if you get an
Lots of
opportunity to watch that video, that would be great. Check it out. But we do have lots to talk about today. Colleen's been busy knitting as usual. She's going to talk about all kinds of things. But before we talk about anything else, Colleen will talk about what we're wearing.
All right, so it is warm in Ontario right now. So you can see there's no big shawls or cowls or anything like that. So what May is wearing is the Lucetta, and it is one of the Lola's Choice kits. And I do them. They're 6 times a year, so every other month. And they're little, so it could be a necklace, it could be a bracelet, it could be, there's all different possibilities. And it's kind of nice because you get the pattern and you get the kit and all the things that you need. And then you can always use the pattern again. So this uses actually 3/2 mercerized pearl cotton, and I really like it. The beads are really good.
Yeah, great.
And it looks great on you. So that's what May is wearing, and once again, it's warm. So I'm wearing something called the Mingle, and the really nice thing about this, also by Laura Nelkin, there it is that there is both a crocheting one and a knitting one in this pattern. So if you're a crocheter and you want to try something with beads, this will be good. And if you're a knitter and you want to try something with beads, this is also great.
Have you tried both crocheting and knitting? Or have you just done the knitting one?
I just did the crocheting one because I wanted to try something different.
And how was that to crochet? And compared to the knitting one?
I loved it.
Did you?
Yep, I really enjoyed it.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that.
And this is also mercerized pearl cotton, but this is, and I'm not quite sure about the weights. This is a 5/2. And some things are easier to find than others, but I have a little bit of 5/2 in different colors, so I might be making a couple of more.
Nice.
Exactly. The mums might like one with a magnetic clasp. So we'll think about that. So that's what we're wearing, and next we're going to talk about finished objects. My first finished object actually is a number of finished objects, but it's the same pattern. And this is the Whippy Wash Mitt, and that's by K.F. Jones of the Bakery Bears. And we've mentioned that we're trying to get into soap, and we've mentioned that we're thinking about doing a booth. And so I've just been making them because if you have soap, you need a washing mitt. So I have done all kinds of these. So I don't know all the names. I know that this is grapefruit is the color. Now the yarn, which is actually cotton that I used, is Suds, and that's by Estelle. Now you can get singles like this one, and I think this is 50-gram ball, or you can get something called Suds 200, and then it's a 200-gram ball.
These are beautiful.
Exactly. So I think if, we were talking about maybe at a booth selling a washing mitt and some soap and making it a little kit.
Right, I could
So I'm
see
really
this
happy
with
with
some
that.
of the, we have a nice grapefruit soap. The smell is beautiful. That would go with the grapefruit soap.
It would.
I can see, this going with the lavender soap.
Oh, she's got plans.
I've got plans. And then there's a pink soap somewhere along
There
the
will
line.
be. If not, there's going to be. We'll make one up.
We'll make one up. If
Exactly.
you have any ideas for soap fragrances that you love, let us know. We'd be interested and we could try them out, the fragrances.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So anyway, those are nice, Colleen. Those will be great little add-ons at our little market booth. I like that.
All right. Now, the other thing that I've been working on, and this is crochet, are called Puffy Clouds Face Scrubbies. So basically, they're reusable little things to clean your face. Now, I just want to let you know this. Once again, I use Suds. And if you buy a 50-gram ball, you can get one of the Whippy Wash mitts and one of these made.
It's a set.
It's a set. So those go together. I was trying to make sure I grabbed them. Those ones go together. And then there's purple. And then this is a little bit, I like this one as well.
It's nice.
So-
Very earthy, that one.
Exactly. So I'm really happy with this. I had to do a little bit of adjustment with this Whippy Wash mitt because this is more of a DK kind of cotton and this is a little heavier, but it's an easy adjustment to the pattern.
Now this stuff won't stretch out if you get water on it and stuff, will it? Or
It's cotton, it'll stretch a little bit.
but not too much.
No, and it should dry nicely.
Dry nicely. Nice.
So that's good. It's so funny. Anybody I show this to, because I've shown it to my mom, this is what they do. I'm not going to because I got lots to make fun, but they do this and they go,
I just did the same thing. I don't know if you noticed. I went like this. I didn't do it on my face because, you know, me with tons of makeup.
That's right.
I don't wear makeup.
There we are. That's because she's just gorgeous as she is. So there we are. So those are some of my finished objects. And then my last finished object is actually a hoe. There we are. And I'll let May hold up the hoe. And it's one of the rumple socks by KF Jones. And I had made some for you. And the pattern shows a lot nicer on plain yarn. So a tonal would be great. But there's two different heels. So either is a heel flap and gusset, or this is, I think she calls it her butterfly heel. But I really like this heel. And I had some leftover yarn. The yarn itself is Regia Premium Merino Yak. So I had the gray, and then I had some leftover of this dark teal, and I thought that kind of made a fun sock. So that's that. So those are my finished objects. And May, how about you?
Oh, I've got lots, but we'll talk about them in the craft section.
Oh, okay, sounds
I've been
good.
working a lot, as you know, on labels for our craft. There's a
Right.
lot going on. Like, I didn't realize how much was going on and how much work people put into their little craft markets. I mean,
Right.
there's labeling and all kinds of things that you have to think
Right.
about that we never thought of before. And I really have much more appreciation for those little home markets. And so if you're ever out at a market, you could support your local and buy them, because they do a lot of work to get to presentation is what it comes out.
And you have to make sure that what you're selling, you're proud of. And so we've done a number of different kinds of soap that we're trying to figure out what's the best
Right.
one. And
Yeah, we've done our research, which feels good. I mean, it costs us a lot of money as far as doing
it's
the
called
research.
research. It's a research.
Colleen calls it research. I call it dollars and cents. But we've spent all kinds of money on trying to find the right product, because it's something that you really want to be proud of.
Exactly.
And same with candle making. You think candle making, oh, you know, you just pour the wax in, but you have to test. You have to test the wicks. You have to make sure the wicks are the right size for the jars. You have to make sure that the wick goes with the fragrance. And so there's a lot of things going on there, but I have a whole appreciation for these market people, and also appreciation for how they set up, like the displays and what the thought process that they have, and you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's been a lot of fun testing, but I think we've got the soap recipe that we're just loving.
Yes.
I think we've got one
we've got it.
that's
It's
going to be
working.
working for, you know, it's such a personal thing, the soap, because you know, we've given quite a few away, but I think we've come up with a recipe
I
that
think
we
we've
like.
got a recipe that's working.
Yeah. So I'll just talk about what I've been doing in my craft section, if that's okay with you.
That's perfect.
You're the boss.
Applesauce. Okay. Those are our finished objects, and next we're going to talk about works in progress. My first work in progress is a pair of socks, and I think I'm knitting a lot of pairs of socks right now. So these are the Beach Comber socks, and once again by KF Jones of the Bakery Bears. Now, to get this pattern, you have to be one of their patrons on Patreon, but this is a lovely pattern, and there's a number of people that put out that they're on Patreon, and it's always a judgment whether it's worth it to you. Now, I have done this, and what we did was I said to May, because we're old enough and we have lots of things, and I said, you know what would be great is for either birthday or Christmas, I can't remember which one, if that's what I could have, is a certain level with the Bakery Bears. And you were happy because it wasn't bringing more things in the house. Mm-hmm. And I was happy because there's so many things that you learn. There's lots of tutorials, there's lots of patterns, there's all kinds of things. So depending on the level. So right now they're doing what they're called the Summer of Stitching. And so right now they're doing these Beach Comber socks, kind of with some tutorials as well. And then when it gets into July and August, they're actually going to do some cross stitch and make a project bag from the cross stitch. So I'm really excited about that, and you'll see that. And I apologize that not everybody can do that. But if you ever have thought about being somebody, a patron of somebody, just think about it and see what they have, and whether it would be helpful for you. I found it worth the money that it is.
Well, how would you know if it was worth the money until you went in? You could always cancel it, I guess.
You can always cancel it. And if you're really not sure, there are 4 patterns a year that are just for patrons. And if you sign up kind of in November-ish, then what you do, you can get those patterns for the entire year. So even though you didn't pay all year, you can get the patterns for the year, and then you can cancel at any time. And I started off at a lower level and then thought, no, if I go up to this, you get a certain more things. So I've been happy with that decision. But as I said, it's not for everybody.
But there's lots of Patreon people that you don't, so you get to
Right.
also. Like,
Exactly.
You pick and choose who you would want
Right,
to get.
right. And actually that's the only one that I am a patron of.
Right.
But as I said, it's been worth the money,
Right.
and thank you for the present, that it's worth the money
You're
to
welcome.
do
And it's easy because you know how sometimes when you go to get presents, it's like so stressful. What do you buy somebody that has everything? And especially at our vintage, where you've had things and you don't really want things, and you've really got
Do
everything.
you realize
How can I
that
pick a
you're
yarn?
old when you start talking about the vintage?
I know. I realized that a long time ago.
We are vintage.
Yes.
And proud of it.
Yeah,
That's
and
for
you
sure.
know what else I'm thinking? As you're saying, I've done all these socks and I'm working on all these socks. It kind of brought back memories of when you first took a first sock class.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was 7 years ago or 8 years ago.
It was a while
And
ago.
ever since that sock class, and it was like $80 or $90 for this class, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? $80 to knit a pair of socks? I could go to Walmart and buy a pair of socks for $2.99, and you spent $80 or $90 on this class." And but it's been well worth the money because you have
It
gotten
was.
so much out of it,
Exactly.
and you have made so many pairs of socks that
That's
you
right.
enjoy, and that's
Absolutely.
great. So
And the funny thing was, she was doing all the, it's so much money, and why would you pay $80? I'm thinking, in my head, I'm going, these socks are for you. I didn't say it out loud. This is a present for you. I'm going to learn how to make socks. I'm going to make them for you. I'm not making $80 socks for me. I'm making them for you.
So now I have expensive socks and I really like them.
Then she likes them. That's right.
But
That's
anyway,
right.
it was worth it. So, I'm glad that you got your money's worth.
I definitely did. Now, the nice thing about this sock, and I've just got the leg done, is it's called Beachcomber, but it's a lovely lace pattern down the front, and I'm really happy with how they're coming out. Right now, I think people are working on the leg. They give you the pattern and then you do tutorials along the way. But I'm really quite pleased. I'm using the Regia Premium Merino Yak. And this is kind of a beigey color, a sandy color for Beachcomber socks.
I love that. That's really nice.
And I really do like that. Now it's interesting, the other size of socks, I used a 64 stitch pattern, and just a little bit too big. And then this is a 56 stitch. I decided to drop it down, but I did make the ribbing a little bit on a bigger needle. Like not much bigger, but just to make sure that I could get my leg into it. And it seems to be fitting
I
well.
love that. That's very nice.
I'm really, really
Nice.
pleased with that.
Yes,
that's
good.
good. So that's that. Now, my other pair of socks you've seen, once again, KF Jones. This is a KF Jones podcast for me. These are called the Wizardy socks. And I'm making them for somebody in my family. And these are going to be lovely and comfy. And I'm almost done the leg. I'm still working on that. And that's Bernat socks. Got some of the yarn in there. Bernat socks. And I am happy with how they're going. I find that this yarn, which is acrylic and nylon, it's a little bit thicker. And I think the person who that these socks are for has a house that would appreciate a little bit warmer socks.
Oh, okay.
I'll just
And
put it there.
you can just feel the difference
Yes.
in the yarn there.
Ex-
Both equally as nice and as soft. This one is a little thicker.
It
though.
is a little thicker.
Yeah, nice.
I'm happy how they're coming out.
You're so happy. You're just a happy girl.
I'm happy, yes, that's for sure. Now, we were talking earlier on about face scrubbies, And that pattern was by Sarah Gross, and I forgot to mention that, but I want to mention, so I thought I'd try this one, which is called a Flower Face Scrubby, also a crochet pattern by Sarah Gross. And these ones actually look like a little flower. So I'm not quite done because I have to weave in all of these. I just was puttering with this yesterday.
That's cute.
Yeah, so I thought I had a little bit more of the grapefruit. These take about 8 grams of cotton. When I'm doing them, I mean, everybody's gauge is a little different, so I figured
So
I'd
you
make
just
them-
wet these and just wipe off your makeup? Kind
Exactly.
Of thing? Nice.
Yeah. And then throw them in
the wash.
Yeah, because it's cotton.
That's
Just
a
throw
great
them in.
idea. Then you're kind of helping the environment too.
Exactly. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yes.
There we are. All right. My last work in progress, which is almost done, is something called the Brioche Twist.
I really like this.
And that's by Suzanne Summer. Not Suzanne Summers. Suzanne Summer.
For those of you, you would know Suzanne Summers back in the day. But, you know.
Three's Company.
Yeah.
There we go. Now, I had the fortune of taking an online class, and it was called the Brioche Master Class, and that was by Suzanne Summer. And so it was great. It was a 3-hour classes, and here is what this has ended up to be.
Now, is this to keep you warm or is it just for design?
Well, it's not one of these. Well, it could be actually, but it's not.
You could. I'm just thinking that would work for a tank top back in the day, wouldn't it?
Back in the day.
Today, you would have worn that.
Well, I don't know if I would have, but anyway. I think I
top.
shocked this
Do you
lady.
remember tube tops?
I do remember two tops.
That's a tube top.
I didn't have much top to do. But I do remember. So it's a headband, and I made it nice and wide. So it is going to join up. Look at that, May. Okay, we're going to mess up her hair a little bit, but it does that and goes around. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
There we are.
So
I
is it for just for design then, just for fun, or is it to
No,
warm?
this is for somebody for Christmas, actually. I'm
Oh.
started. So it's got 2 yarns. It's Red Heart Soft is the black, and then the white is Mary Maxim Starlet.
Well, that's very nice. It'll be warm though.
I think it will be warm. So I made it one of the widest ones, and you can make it as long as you need.
I like this little twist thing going on in here. Did they teach you how to do that, or
You know what?
did-
That was in the pattern, and it's actually, it's a paid for pattern, so I have to be careful.
Oh, okay.
But it sometimes what happens is they sew it at that point, but that's not where it gets sewn.
Oh,
And I
okay.
like this one.
So you'll have to buy the pattern to find out. It's
That's
kind of
right.
like
but I will tell
mystery.
you, if you've never done a Vogue, a virtual Vogue knitting live class, it's great to do. You can be sitting in your house. I took a class with Joji Locatelli from Argentina. I've taken a class from, was it Austria?
Something like that.
It was, yeah, one, and I just kept saying to me, do you know where I took this class from? So it's neat because you get to take classes from people all over the place, and you sit in your own house and you just watch it. So sometimes there's homework, sometimes there's not. There's usually notes. It's so much fun. And I know they are doing some the middle of June. I think it's the 10th, 11th, 12th. Don't quote me on those dates. But just if you go on to VogueKnitting.com, then you can find Vogue Knitting Live Virtual, and then you can do that. So it's great to be able to take classes. And,
Great idea.
and this one was great. I'd taken brioche classes before. This kind of started you at the very beginning and ended up with some fancy things that you can do. And how to fix mistakes, because that's the big thing in brioche. So those are my works in progress in May.
Again, we can talk about in our craft section, or do you want to talk now?
No, we can talk about it in the craft section.
Okay. Do we have a craft section?
She's in charge from it, so I hope so.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll go there. We'll go with
So
that.
next we're going to talk about our crafting adventure.
Well, on today's craft adventure, Colleen, why don't you talk about what you've been doing?
You and I have been doing a lot of things. So as you know, we've been making soap, and we put up my very first batch of lavender soap.
If you haven't watched that video, you need to go watch that video to show how you've made your very first batch. You were a little nervous.
Yes.
We both were, because the first time working with Lai, of course.
Exactly.
But, it was good. I think it was good. And I think with our videos, we're not talking through them, we're talking over them. But I think as we get better at making and we get more comfortable, we'll talk through the video as opposed to voicing in.
And as long as you can bleep out things, it's like
Oh my gosh, yeah,
something
it
like
was
that.
good.
All right. So we have been making soap which I'll let May talk about in a minute. The other thing that I tried my hand at was bath bombs. So I ended up ordering.
I can hold that up for you.
There
gently.
you go. Yeah, it's good. So I ended up ordering a donut mold. Now you can get an actual press that does this. The pressing was these little hands doing the pressing. And this turned out really well. It's so very cute. I really like how it's done. We've done some testing, that research that we talked about.
Right.
We've done some testing. And I think what I learned was you don't have to quite compress them as much as I
because it kind of went clunk,
Clunk.
on the top.
ends up. They're supposed to float, but and it kind of hit the bottom. It did as it started to fizz and do what it's supposed to do.
Lighten up a little. It kind of
lightened up.
floated to the top.
But my understanding is you're supposed to actually make little holes, not holes, but just
Air pockets.
air pockets in it, so it does.
So it floats.
Now we did make sphere ones, right? So nice round that you're used to of bath bombs. We've used those up. Lovely.
Those worked out really
floated,
well.
nice.
And you know what, they did what they were supposed to do, and some people make them with oil, a little bit of oil in them, like a lot of oil.
A lot of oil.
A lot of oil. And we had bought one from, I won't mention where.
Right.
And one of
It
the
was-
popular places, and it was disgusting. It was oil, it was in the top. And some people could slip in that. So we certainly did not want that to happen.
No.
So
There is a very little bit of light oil in it because you kind of need
And what
that.
kind of oil did you use?
Grapeseed.
Grapeseed oil, which is a very
By the
light
way, they
oil.
have grapeseed oil at Costco.
Do they?
Yes, I just found
We
that
should
out today.
We should buy some from there then.
Yeah, we should.
Right? But grapeseed oil is a very light oil,
Right.
and you use very minimal amount. So when we tried this, there was no oily residue on the top. There was no oils in
Exactly.
your hands, no slipping.
No, it
and then
was
we didn't want
fantastic.
people to slip. So I think you've come up with the perfect recipe,
Right.
which I think we can post when we do the bath bomb. We
Mm-hmm.
can put in the recipe because it's an awesome recipe. And also what they do with the donuts is they drizzle a little bit of icing on here, which we'll work on.
Not
because,
actual
again,
icing, but
no, but it's like a oil.
a cocoa butter, yeah.
But we tried it on something,
Yep.
and it didn't cause any oil residue either.
not
Just
at
this
all.
tiny,
Yeah.
tiny bit.
So as we talked about earlier, like whenever we're doing something, we're trying it out because we want to make sure, okay, do we understand what it's doing? Is it doing the right thing? We want to worry about slipping. We want to worry about how does it look? So
Right.
we're
So
happy
all
with
those,
that.
how are we going to package it? How does
That's
it
right.
look? How does it feel on your skin? If I was going to pay money for this, would I buy this product?
Right.
And so we're really good at doing that and researching the product. So I like that. And then you're confident when you're selling it.
Right. Now, the other thing I did was make half of one because I had half left. So that's a nice size for a bath bomb
Mm-hmm.
as well, especially if you've got little kids and you want to put them in a bath with a bath
Do you
bomb.
do little kids in bath bombs? Or
You
no?
can. You have to be with them and you have to make sure they don't think it's food. This is something that would, I'm not sure I would do that because they would probably look
Right,
at it like it's a
right.
donut. So there's all kinds of warnings that have to go on labels. But I'm happy. You know the other thing that we found out?
What's that?
So this side is a little not round. It's not domed like it's supposed to be. And that's because we just put it on a flat pan. Now, we were trying to figure out how to not make it on a flat pan. And what did we find out?
We found out from what's her name?
Ariane Arsenault.
And she's Canadian and from Quebec somewhere, and we just love her videos because
Right.
she's so knowledgeable, and she has this great workshop area for soaps and bath bombs and this and that. What she does is she puts a piece of foam down and she wraps the foam up in saran wrap.
Right.
And then she sets her round bath bombs and her donut bath bombs on the foam, and then you don't get any kind of flatness.
Exactly.
So
So
we're
now
gonna
we
do that
know,
next
we've
time.
learned that, and that's what we're going to do next time. So these will probably just be for me when I want to have a nice bath and soak. And we have used this scent to let you smell.
Nice.
Now it's a love spell dupe is what it's called.
Right, because you can't call it by its real name
No.
because it's
No, there's a
copyrighted or
Exactly.
something like that. But anyway, it's lovely, and we're learning so much. Like
have.
there's so much to learn.
I said to May yesterday, I said, because we were chatting about business and soap, and I said, "Do you realize the conversation that we're now having?" I said, "We know all these things we didn't know about 4 months ago."
And also about labeling in Canada is just a learning curve all in itself, because all this stuff falls under cosmetic, and you have to label it properly. You have to have the French name and the English name on the front, because we're a bilingual country.
Right.
And the ingredients have to have the INIC or INCI name, proper name. So there's all kinds of details in labeling, and that itself has kept me very busy.
Yes.
Just going through all that.
That's right.
So lots to learn, but fun. You're having fun?
I'm having a lot of fun.
Good.
That's good.
That's
all right. Now, what do you
battle.
have on your side of the table?
All right. So as you know, we've been doing soap. So these are not our these are our soaps that we made, and these were testers.
Right.
Has our stamp on there, but this is not our final formula for soap.
No.
This was just ones that we tested. They've got great oils in them, expensive oils. And we just didn't really like how it felt on our skin, or it maybe just wasn't right ones for us, which they could be right for other people, but they've got great oils in there.
They do, absolutely.
And so we had to give some of our soaps away because we've made quite a bit of it. This is not going to be our regular size. Our regular size is tall and skinny.
It's going to be a tall and skinny.
That's
what they call
That's what
it.
I want. Maybe it's my wish list. I want to be tall and skinny.
Yeah, I've never been tall and skinny. Tall? No. Skinny? No. Not happening.
So we decided to give some soap away to a couple of our friends. We went out for dinner. And so what I did was I made up these little bags. So I put the soap in the bag, and I gave it to my friends, or our friends.
Yes.
And I said, oh, by the way, I made that. They were so impressed with the bag. Forget the soap. They want to know how I made the bag. And so I thought I'd put up a little video on how I made the bag. And so I have done that, so you can check that out. Now, one of our subscribers, who's a loyal subscriber, thank you very much, she had asked more details about what I had used. And this is an 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Now, I didn't have the number of the cardstock. It's a very light cardstock, and they come in different levels.
Right, exactly.
And this packaging didn't have, I had it out of the packaging, so I have no idea what it was, but it's very light cardstock. And the larger bag that I used in the video that you've seen is actually just paper.
Right.
Regular paper. And what I did with this was 8.5 by 11, is I just cut it down to 6.5 by 11.
Right.
But you could make it 8.5 if you wanted to.
Right. Exactly.
And then I used that little machine. And then I went to great lengths to find out, using a template, where I would print
you did a
our
great
label,
job figuring that out.
and then I figured out where it would land on the printer on the back. And this would be our email, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. So this is what our label is going to look like. And I like that label. Of course, we haven't done anything with anything yet. That's just what our label is going to be.
Right.
And we've got some email, Facebook, Instagrams, and we haven't done anything with that yet. We're not there yet.
No.
But those are going to be cute, and they fit actually 2 bars of soap. So if
And it holds it nice. It's solid enough to hold it, so that's really good.
And one of our subscribers also said that would hold a pair of socks. So that would be a really nice gift too, to have a knitting sock. So anyway,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that was a fun, but that took quite a while to figure out, probably a day's work trying to figure out how that all goes. And also I've been working in the garage, of course. I've made a couple of soap molds to those size that we like.
And brilliant. She is a talented soul, and the soap molds are great.
I'm glad Colleen likes them, and been using them a couple of times. I've also been working on, if you've seen this before, this is my Great Lake plaques. I'm going to be making more of those so that we could sell those at our booth. This is filled with resin. Now, what I did in the past, I used a scroll saw. I know you're knitters and you maybe not know the difference, but a scroll saw goes right through the wood to the other side, so I had to put a back on it. And I decided to change up my method of doing this, and I'm using a rotor with a very, very pointed rotor bit, and I'm rotoring out this so I don't have to have the back.
Oh, that's great. That's going to save you a lot.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to pour the resin in, and we'll see what happens with that. That's what I've been working on. And labeling and supporting Colleen. And when there's soap involved, there's a lot of cleanup involved also. So when we've been making our soap, there's a lot of dishes to do and cleaning up. Every minute it seems to be taken up, but it's enjoyable. So
Right, we're having a good time.
We are having a great time.
So we are definitely having a craft adventure. So those are our craft adventures, and next we're going to talk about souvenirs. Well, my souvenir involves a year of dishcloths. So I ordered this from Granny Bird's Wool Shop in Bobcaygeon, Ontario. So that was the store we tried to go to when we went to the Kawartha Yarn and Fiber Festival, and they were closed on the day because they were getting ready for the show itself. But I had seen this and I thought this is perfect. So if you take a look, there are 12 of the suds and they're all different. And so if you think about it, every one of these will make one of the washi mitts and one of the scrubbies. So that would give 12 presents for people.
That's a great idea.
You could start it now and it would be great.
Yeah.
So exactly.
That's
So
really
that was a great souvenir. And the store and the people there are great service and delivered it quite nicely, and I was really pleased. So that's my souvenir.
That's all? That's all?
Say two. That's it.
I know there's been boxes and boxes coming in the house.
Well,
there's
we've
been
got soapy stuff and yeah,
molds and things like that, and
Yes.
Temus and
Right.
Amazons and stuff.
Yes, and olive oil doesn't count.
The show wasn't long enough for our soap adventure
That's
stuff.
true.
But I did what happened was I went to help a friend out. She was doing a what do you call that? Crafting with the paper.
Scrapbooking.
Scrapbooking. Amazing. Whole different world. I'm not into scrapbooking, but I was so amazed at some of the equipment and all the knowledge that was there.
Right.
So it was a scrapbooking craft fair, more like a garage sale where people had been scrapbooking and then brought in all their stuff.
Oh, okay.
Get rid of and stuff. So the one lady there had these gift bag punch board, and that's what it is, and this comes out like this, and it was all wrapped up brand new.
Right.
And Mark, who is a seasoned person, a crafter and craft scrapbooker, had said, I said, do you think that's a good idea? And she says, oh, they're great, they work well.
Oh, wow.
Give it a shot. And that's how it came up with those little bags. So that's what I used to make these, so check that video out. So then, and the other package was brand new, and it hadn't been opened, and it makes us boxes. So I'm interested to see how that worked. So I went out somewhere, and I came home, and Colleen was playing around with this.
I did.
And Colleen made a couple of boxes, which I think were cute. And they can do right up with that little thing there. They'll do up.
Right.
And so this is what this machine does. And that's kind of neat. Now you can make bigger boxes, you said, too?
You can make all different sizes. There are people that actually have, depending on the size of paper that you have, depends on what you can do.
Yeah. So I'm excited to try this out, too, in my free time.
Exactly. So much free time.
Yes. So while I was there, there was lots of papers and punches and all kinds of tools that I hadn't
Right.
even heard of. And there was these punches, and the reason, I don't know if I have any use for them, but it's a square.
Right.
And but the reason why I bought this, Colleen, is because we had saw them at Michael's for like $27.
Something like that, yeah.
Very expensive, and I thought, wow, that's a lot of money for a punch. Anyway, $1. I couldn't believe it. And I could have got 100 of these things.
All right.
Now, and Marg had said, again, Marg's very seasoned and knows her stuff. She says just put some tin foil. You want to sharpen them up?
Oh, wow.
Just get some tin foil and do that a few times, and that'll sharpen it up. So I got
things I don't know.
one that would make price tags,
Excellent.
and one that makes a little square. So,
You know all those little pieces of paper that you don't use when you make the bags?
oh, those would work.
Why don't you make price tags out of
Yeah,
them?
that'd be a great idea.
I could do that while you're doing the other.
Okay, in my free time, we can do that. Lots of crafting happening, lots of things going on in this household. We're really glad to share it with you. Hope it's inspiring you, giving you some ideas.
That's right.
Again, if you haven't checked out that adventure piece too that we didn't go on,
Right.
we went on the last time.
Right.
Please check that video out because it's so worth it. And Will, that's in the video, he's so enthusiastic about fibers and what they do. It's just a great trip. So anyway, that's what we've been up to.
That's
It's
right.
been great being back and talking with you and spending time with you today. And
Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you're seeing, give us a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe because we really like doing this for you. So until next time,
you take